People reach out to me all the time and they want to know my story and how I came to know so much knowledge. I quit being a police officer October 1st of last year. I was a detective, sergeant, SWAT team, instructor. I did all sorts of stuff. I've shown you guys the receipts. But people always ask me, what caused me to quit? What caused me to look at things differently? And how did I gain so much knowledge about all this stuff? Well, the biggest reason why I quit policing is that I realized that this system is only meant to keep us divided. Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. Now, as a police officer, and this is where it's going to get hairy, cops don't realize they're out violating people's rights every single day. Because every state has its own penal law, and then you have federal law. Penal law is not real law. And just hear me out with this. Law is so incredibly subjective. No crime is looked at the same because every officer has different perspectives. Every prosecutor has different perspectives. Every quote-unquote suspect, defense attorney, and judge all have different perspectives. Law is so incredibly subjective that it's not fair across the board whatsoever. There is a good old boy system that exists. 100% it exists. And that's one of the reasons why I couldn't morally be a police officer anymore. Corruption, moral corruption, is just as bad as any other corruption. When you're being forced to do things as a police officer that don't make you feel good, that's called moral corruption. And the violation of people's rights, that directly comes from the bosses and the people above the bosses' heads. The police, I'm going to go out on a limb and just talk in general here, okay? But the majority of the police officers want the same thing for their families as you do. Don't get me wrong. There are some seriously, deeply corrupted agencies, especially in places like in Appalachia and places that don't have much money, because there's no accountability and no transparency. And they do that purposefully as well. Just like they have different laws in every state. More confusion, and they do that purposefully as well. I was a police instructor, taught hundreds of students, and I had to start realizing that not everybody looked at things from my perspective as a police officer. Demographically speaking, I live in upstate New York. I reside about an hour north of the city of Albany, the capital in New York. But I was an instructor at the Zone 5 Regional Law Enforcement Training Academy in Schenectady, New York for many years. With that, I've literally taught hundreds of students, and I've got to work with a lot of different professionals, knowing them on a personal level that most people don't get to know police officers. Now, I'm not defending the police. I'm not defending criminals. I'm not defending anybody. What I will say is that this whole entire system was designed to keep us divided. Cops don't realize the evil that they are serving, and that evil is the Commercial Code of the United States Corporation. This is a fact, Jack. Cops think they're out there defending and serving and not realizing that they're violating constitutional rights every single day. Now, police officers, if you're listening to me, you're going to know exactly where I'm coming from. How many times did your boss go and say to you after you handled something, well, why didn't you get that person's ID? Why didn't you get their name? Why didn't you identify them? When you had no legal justification to do so, but your bosses just wanted you to do it because that's what we do. This all comes from the state governments to the county governments to be enacted into law and code across the board. The police are weaponized against the citizens. And it's disgusting. It's manipulation.